he is talking about taking away money from Hungary. But the only thing that does with freezing is that he himself cannot enrich himself anymore. He is using the EU funding for him, for his family, to build huge golden palaces or whatever.
Üdvözlöm Önöket, Gulyás Balázs vagyok, Önök a Gulyás Ágyú Média legfrissebb tudósítását látják, ezúttal innen, Strasbourgból, abból az Európai Parlamentből, amely ezen a héten kedden elfogadta második időközi jelentését Magyarország jogállamiságának tartós aláásásáról és az uniós értékek folyamatos megsértéséről. 415 szavazattal, 193 ellenében és 28 tartózkodással fogadta el az Európai Parlament ezt az újabb jelentést, ami most már, hogyha jól számolom, a negyedik ebből a műfajból, hogy úgy mondjam. 2013-ban itt volt a Tavares jelentés, 2018-ban a Sargentini jelentés, 2022-ben pedig a Delbos-Corfield jelentés. Ez a mostani 2025-ös pedig a holland zöldpárti Tineke Strik nevéhez kötődik. Elmentünk hozzá, itt megtaláltuk itt az Európai Parlamentben, és megkérdeztük, hogy tulajdonképpen miről is szól ez a bizonyos, a magyar kormányt elítélő jelentése. Mielőtt megnézzük ezt az interjút, kérem, hogy iratkozzanak fel a csatornára. What areas of rule of law in Hungary did you examine in your report?
Yeah, we examined the judiciary because people need to count, to be able to count on independent judges. So we went into that area. We looked at the space for civil society and media to create checks and balances for the government and to have freedom of speech and also freedom of assembly, of course. So we also looked at the way minorities, including Roma and LGBTIQ people, are treated and also the freedoms that they have to express their opinion. We also looked at the corruption and how corruption is being combated or not by the authorities. I think these are the main topics actually that we covered and examined and concluded that all standards are very heavily breached by the Hungarian government.
If you have to choose one of these problems, which is which field is the most pressing?
It's very difficult because in order to live in a free society, you need all those elements, of course, to really enjoy your rights. You need to be able to speak out, to read journals from independent media, because otherwise you only swallow propaganda. And you need to have the right not to be discriminated against. But if I need to mention one pressing issue, I think it would be the role of the judiciary, because it's in the end judges that citizens need to be able to turn to. And you see that in the first instance, judges still have quite some space to act independently. But Orbán has captured the higher levels, like the Supreme Court, the Curia, and the Constitutional Court. And what is also very, which should be alarming for the EU, is that this Curia is also interpreting judgment of the Court of Justice itself, and decides in some instances, no, we can just ignore that, we just keep our own president. And this is really undermining the EU as a legal order. So it's a threat to us as a EU, but it's definitely in the end the threat to the citizens of the Hungary, because Orbán is also controlling their right to have a fair trial.
There are Hungarians who still remember the Tavares report from 2018, and there was the Delbos-Corfield report in 2022, and there was the Sargentini report, but they have not felt any impact on their daily lives. There are people who think like that in Hungary, or on their country becoming more democratic. They don't feel it. What message would you send to these Hungarian people? Will your report have any impact on the Hungarian government's democratic behavior, the daily behavior of them?
that takes many more steps, of course. What we did is gathering evidence, drawing conclusions, firm conclusions, and ring the alarm bell to both the European Commission and the European member states for the fate and the rights of the Hungarian citizens. And it's very difficult to, in the end, conclude what had an influence or not. I think with the Sargentini report, we established the Article 7 procedure, which forces the Council to have every half year a hearing on the rule of law situation in Hungary. I don't think we can underestimate that. Before the summer, because of this Article 7 procedure, there were 22 member states who came up with a declaration calling for the protection of the rights of the LGBTIQ community. And of course, not that all is immediately, tangible for the Hungarian citizens, but we need to continue the pressure. If we would stop, then Orbán would really feel very safe, and he could even, increase the further repression. So I think we have to do everything that is possible, also to preserve the space that civil society has to keep on demonstrating against Orbán, against the regime, against the capturing of their rights. So we are one factor, one element in this whole field of actions that need to be taken.
Viktor Orbán's government uses such European Parliament reports in domestic politics to justify that Hungarians are, I quote, hated in Brussels. We are in Strasbourg, by the way, but their narrative is like that. And that is why resistance or even a war against Brussels is necessary from their side, from the side of the government, against the EU. Do you have any room for maneuver in this regard, or to how to say, tell to the Hungarian people that this is not against them, this is about what their government did in Hungary?
Orbán uses everything to say, look, this is our enemy and you have to support me against those enemy, whatever we do. But I think that if people read the report and listen to what has been said here, also during the debate, it's very clear that we do this for protecting the rights of the Hungarian citizens. They must live their lives in the way that they want to. They must be able to enjoy the freedoms, and they must be freed from the total corrupt regime that Orbán has established. Because, mind you, he is talking about taking away money from Hungary, but the only thing that does with freezing is that he himself cannot enrich himself anymore. He is using the EU funding for him, for his family, to build huge golden palaces or whatever. He is the enemy in the end of the Hungarian citizens, and they should have the right to be released from that. And what I found even also more striking, if you look at where his interests are, he's enrolling the agenda of Putin. Putin that has occupied a country like Ukraine, Putin who is threatening all with his autocratic agenda. He is not fighting or serving the interests of the Hungarian citizens, not at all. And I really hope that this could be disclosed in Hungary. And maybe this is why he has captured the media, because he doesn't want Hungarian citizens to know this.
Ez volt beszélgetésünk a holland zöldpárti Tineke Strikkel, akihez egy újabb, a magyar kormányt elítélő európai parlamenti jelentés kötődik. Arra kérem önöket, ha tehetik, és hogyha fontosnak tartják azt, hogy lapunk mindenhol ott próbál lenni, akkor támogassanak bennünket, hiszen mi az olvasókból élünk. Ez az interjú is az olvasóink támogatásának köszönhetően készült el. Ha támogatnának bennünket, megtehetik ezt itt a YouTube-on, szuper köszönet formájában, illetve a gulyáságyúmédia.hu/támogatás oldalon megtalálnak mindenféle opciót. A legközelebbi viszontlátásig!